Es ist ja der Film The Yes Men Are Revolting auch so persönlich geworden, weil Laura Nix eben mit denen befreundet ist. Und ich denke, das ist jetzt der richtige Moment, dass wir die Laura dazuschalten und sie mal fragen, wie das ist, mit den Yes Men zu arbeiten als Filmemacherin und wie viel man als Filmemacherin da auch realisieren kann. Ist sie schon an? Okay. Hi. Hi, Laura.
Hello.
Good morning. How are you?
Good morning.
Well, they can hear you, they can see you. You can only see me, so we'll do it that way.
Okay.
I was just saying that part of the film is it became a very personal film because you're befriended with Mike. And how did you get through the material that they already accumulated over the years with all the political actions they had going? And how did you find like your thread through that?
So I went to college with Mike when we were, so I know Mike since he was 18. And I also went to graduate school with him. So when we were in our like late 20s, early 30s, we were hanging out, and that's when he first met Andy, and I was around for that moment. And if you know them and you're friends with them, you eventually get pulled into this. You end up getting kind of conscripted into the Yes Men army and end up doing actions with them. And so I've been doing those actions like even when they were doing Art Mark before they were the Yes Men. They were still doing some stuff, and I would get pulled into those. And the experience of being around them as friends and as activists is pretty interesting. And I didn't feel like the other films had necessarily showed that really. And I wanted to share that experience that I have with an audience, because I have seen a change from when they started doing this activism, when they were really young until now. Because it's one thing to do this kind of activism in your 20s and dedicate your life in that way. And it's quite another thing when you're, getting into your third decade of, starting to do this kind of work. So it took a long time to go through all the footage. They shot for a while. I inherited a bunch of footage that they had shot already, and the footage is not necessarily shot by professional camera people. It's shot by anybody who has a camera and just kind of shows up and decides to shoot that day. So it's very hard to pull character and story from that material. And it was a matter of starting to shoot new scenes where we're following them in a way where you are following character, where you all are following what goes wrong. And ironically, failure is one of the things that inspired my vision of the film, because sometimes the actions don't work, and some of those don't also end up in the film.
Yeah, it shows that very nicely too, that it doesn't always work, and you're always a winner, so it shows that. How much say do you have with the Yes Men? Do they stand back and it's like, okay, you're the director, you do the film, or was it more a thing that you did together?
I'd say that it's a very schizophrenic process. So there's times when we're ready to go, and we're doing the action and it's fine, and or they say yes, it's okay, you can shoot this aspect of my life, and then sometimes it might be a little more uncomfortable for them, like midway they're like, oh no, maybe this feels a little bit weird. They're perfectly happy to kind of let me be in the edit room for a really long time and figure the story out, and then they'll come in and there'll be like one thing that they get very nervous over, and they're completely different issues for each of them. So there's no consistent answer for that question. It just really depends on what the issue is that we're talking about. But it was it took a long time.
How did you finance the film in the beginning?
We got a lot of foundation support. I would say that's probably the biggest element of our funding is from foundations that we got through writing grants. And the second biggest is co-production financing from Europe. because we don't have that kind of public funding for documentaries in the United States. And then the other parts that contributed were we did a Kickstarter campaign and raised about $149,000, I think, from that. And we got some donations from individuals, some of which were one of which was significant, and then like little pieces here and there that we would pull together, So, but the majority of the film is financed by foundations.
How much of that budget goes into actually making the film, and how much do you put into traveling, introducing the film, campaigning in a way?
We have a small distribution and outreach budget that has, and I think probably most of us who are doing this, we never budget enough for that, and you're so focused on getting the film done, it's very hard to know that you've got to raise this huge pot of money for the next phase, for the next stage. But when you're doing this kind of social issue documentary and you have an agenda with the film and you want to be able to reach people with the film, you really do have to spend resources on that. And there's films in the United States right now that the budget for their impact and outreach is bigger than their production budget. They spend more money on the outreach than they do on the film itself. That's not true for this film at all. Over half our budget went to post-production because it took such a long time to process the 1,000 hours of footage that were shot and to log them and to figure out which ones we were going to put in the movie and have editors work on the film for as long as we had. That was the majority of our budget. The actions some of them are more elaborate and cost real money, and you can probably figure out which ones from the movie. And other ones are very simple and really don't cost anything at all. They cost like $50 and just a lot of imagination.
Do you feel that the film actually supports the campaign, the actions? Is that?
What we hear consistently is that yes men are really good at turning young people into activists. So this film is not The Inconvenient Truth. So it's not a film necessarily that somebody who's really a doubter, a denialist in a way, is going to watch that film, and through the power of our scientific evidence is going to finally understand the reality of climate change. We're not those types of documentary filmmakers. But I think what the Yes Men are good at doing is showing that activism can be fun and that it's for everybody. That because the thing is that the kind of activism that the Yes Men do is very unique. However, they're real people. They're normal people, and they can script lots of people to work with them who are normal people and have normal lives. And the message is really anybody can do this, and everybody should do this, and it's actually pretty fun. And when you wake up in the morning and you face a world that is incredibly messed up and a planet that's careening towards disaster, you ask yourself, what can I do? And is anything that I do worth it? And we really want to give the message that it is worth it, and it's incredibly energizing. And if you join something if you join something bigger than yourself and you're part of a larger social movement, not only are you participating in something that will make change eventually, it will make change eventually. Modern social movements do tend to win in this day and age. But you're also giving energy back to your life in a way that is kind of incomparable.
How do you use social media for your campaign? In which ways? Because you use them in different ways.
We do. We use all the usual suspects. We use, we have a pretty large Facebook following, a fairly large Twitter following, not like enormous, but okay. And we regularly get notified by other activists around the world about actions that they're doing and asked to publicize an action on our feeds, and we do that quite often. At a moment like right now, if you looked at our feeds, there's a lot about the film, but it's not at all just a promotional feed. It's very important to us that it's curatorial and that we are putting news out into the world about other activists and other campaigns that are going on all around the world so that people are reminded and connected to this kind of action all over the globe. So we use it in those ways, and we also use it to let people know about actions that are coming up. We'll be doing a lot of work, for instance, in advance of the climate talks in Paris in December.
Okay. Well, thank you very much, Laura. We're kind of running out of time, so I need to have you enjoy your coffee and your day. Thank you.
Thank you so much. You have a good day.
Bye-bye. How do you say?